Okay, boys, so I promised you I'd review one Wheel of Time book a week. I messed that up. I just got distracted with holidays, family, and, reviewing other books. But today we're jumping into Robert Jordan's masterpiece, The Dragon Reborn. As we covered the last time, The Great Hunt is very thematically different than almost any other book within the Wheel of Time. It essentially goes from a chase to a heist to a battle, which was very interesting. But this book, well, it fits thematically very well with the rest of the series. I find that in terms of pacing, The Dragon Reborn is kind of the most just non-stop bullet train, just building to a single climax. Later on in the series, there are multiple climaxes within each book. There's kind of all these different characters with their own storylines, and every character has their own focus and resolution, or many of them do. Not all of them all the time, but multiple characters within an individual book. Whereas The Dragon Reborn is just building towards one night. It is building towards one prophesied, heavily foreshadowed night. And I really enjoy this kind of sidestep for Robert Jordan once again. I really need a haircut. But let's go ahead and jump into a more general review of The Dragon Reborn before we talk about that pacing just a little bit more. With the full-on spoiler-free review of this book just basically being that The Dragon Reborn is incredibly good. It's one of the best of the series without a doubt. And in terms of intensity and pacing, really only A Memory of Light matches the incredible just tumble towards an intense climax that this book is. So I guess in terms of intensity of climax, A Memory of Light takes the cake, but in terms of building to the climax, The Dragon Reborn, this is getting weird. Moving on. That's all the spoiler-free you're getting. Moving into spoiler-filled. Rand's insanity really takes the forefront here, as he does not handle the pressure very well, and it can also be interpreted that he's already somewhat going insane. There are certainly moments that seem to go above and beyond him just not handling pressure well. Making corpses bow to him, having these internal dialogues that just seem manic and very out of character from the simple farm boy we've seen up to this point. Everything seems like Rand's not so chill. Now, I'm of the opinion that throughout the series, Rand's insanity fluctuates. It kind of has an ebb and flow. It is more like a tide. His mental state often reflects how he's handling the situation around him and whether or not he is control or the Dark One is gaining control. But in this book, he is clearly not doing very well for a majority of it. But we do not follow him much. This is the first book where Rand takes almost a back seat to the other characters. Perrin, once again, has some of the best emotional arcs within the series in this book. He is gut-punched right away at the beginning with the death of the Tinker Woman. He has another wolf brother who has lost himself to the wolves, showing that Perrin's future might not be so happy and wholesome. And just on the other end of the emotional spectrum, he starts getting stalked by Fail, who's introduced in this book, but we're not going to spend much time talking about her because she doesn't have much character growth until later on. But his one real moment of Perrin being able to fight back and enforce his will on this world around him that seems determined to push him down is when he frees Gaul from imprisonment. A wonderful moment for Perrin. I like it quite a bit, and it shows that this farm boy is willing to impose his own desires on this world that is really pushing bound on him. So in terms of emotional moments for characters, we have Rand's insanity taking forefront. We have Perrin having some of the hardest hitting blows he takes throughout the series, aside from what happens to him in the Two Rivers. And then finally, we have Mat, well, kind of going against that theme. He's not really dealing with emotional blows or anything like that. He's just finally getting a character, because up until this point, he's just been possessed and in the background more than the other two Talviran boys. So now Mat gets his own little character, and he rapidly becomes a fan favorite, going from someone no one really cared about to the guy who beats the shit out of Gawain and Galad, which was oh so nice. I have a theory here that Mat's character, if he's not really in charge of his own destiny, is not a great character. And before book 3, he was really just following people around, and he doesn't thrive in those situations. So my justification for his character never really standing out until this point is that he just wasn't really allowed to bloom. His little flower was being held down, and after he's on his own, he's doing his own missions, then he's really come into his own. And even later on, when he's with others on missions where he's not necessarily in charge, Mat always feels kind of in control because his personality is so strong that no one can really fully guide the little gambler. And while the Talviran boys are doing this, Mat being really introduced, Rand and Perrin going through their own turmoil, we have the three women in the White Tower, Nynaeve, Elaine, and Egwene, dealing with their own business as well. And their story arc, to me, the purpose was one, of course, to flesh out their characters, show them as very strong, very capable people who are willing to take on the Black Aja on their own. That's hella impressive, but also establish that this world, even in the place that is supposed to be the beacon of the light, the White Tower, is absolutely not safe. This is the first signaling to the reader that the Shadow is not only a big deal, it is not a powerful foe coming. It is a powerful foe that has infiltrated the deepest corners of this world. This is also reinforced when Matt, going to deliver a letter to Elaine's mother, accidentally runs into a plot to kill Elaine for the Shadow. My god, without realizing at the time he was actually eavesdropping on one of the Forsaken. How did he do that? How did a Forsaken not realize that he's being eavesdropped on? Okay. And all of these characters, of course, come together once again at the Stone of Tyr. Books 1, 2, and 3 kind of have everyone split and reunite, and split and reunite. It's the pattern that is broken after this third book. After book 3, they all really do go on their own and take their own initiative. But I love the ending of The Dragon Reborn. Seeing these people splinter, and I could tell there was going to be another reunification, but it happens very naturally. It doesn't feel forced. The fact that the Shadow has essentially taken the 3 women who were trying to track them down proves the power of the Shadow, and using them as bait for Rand, well, it was a good plan, was unnecessary, it turns out, but was also, from the Shadow's perspective, a good plan. Having Rand face against not one, but 2 of the Forsaken, and Ishamael have Ishamaeli things happen with him, he's confusing. Showed that Rand, while he certainly did not have control, he is powerful. And this was Robert Jordan's real brilliance here in handling his own magic system. Rand may not be the most nuanced weapon at this point for the light, but when he does use the one power, the impression we as the reader get is he is just a out-of-control cannon firing in random directions. And he is cloaked in immense power that is able to push down any enemy, no matter how much control they have of their own power. Because Rand, it's kind of like having a stick of dynamite that can go off at any moment. That's hard to fight, no matter how nuanced you can be with your own power. So it does pretty much work within this world that Rand would be able to stand up to those who have millennia of experience over him, because he, on his own, well, he cannot do the finer things. He's unstable. And anyone who's familiar with combat knows that an unpredictable opponent, no matter how good you are, is still a threat. Now, the final thing I want to touch on here is my homegirl Moraine, one of the best characters in the Wheel of Time, and this is the first book where her authority is not only challenged, but at times she is outright disobeyed. Finally, the farm boys and the younger people who she has been very well manipulating and pushing to do as she wills are able to turn around and actually rally against her. Not just say no, but actually end up doing what she does not want done. A great development, and this kind of is where I think early on in the books, the power dynamics are handled so well, and this great establishment of where the dynamics stand and how they begin to shift throughout the series all the way until the very end is one of the strengths of the Wheel of Time. Often in books, people become authoritative over others or have power over others just because the plot demands it. But very often in the Wheel of Time, power dynamics shift through character development, and that's very key. I like that a lot, compared to just, oh, he's promoted, so now he has power over them. Don't do that. That's dumb. I hate that. Get that bullshit out of here. Keep it to character. KTC, guys. KTC to all my authors out there. Keep it to character with everything. Just make everything character-based, and I'll love your freaking book. So that's pretty much my review of The Dragon Reborn. It's a beautiful kind of next step. It still follows a lot of the similar patterns of the last 2 books, but it's really the last Wheel of Time book to fall into that pattern. But it does really stand separate from the first 2 very well, though, with its just bull rush pacing I talked about at the beginning. It is just a non-stop building tension to this moment, to this night, to this location you know everything is building to, and that is awesome. It's like the Wheel of Time's first little mini last battle within the series, and that's even reflected later on when the rumor is heard that what actually happened in the Stone of Tyr was the last battle, which we know it's not, But it's nice to see that, and I hope you guys enjoyed this review of the Dragon Reborn. Like and subscribe if you have not already. Hit the Patreon if you want to support what I do here. Every dollar helps tremendously, and I hope you guys are having a wonderful weekend, and I will see you tomorrow for WoT Talk, and then Monday I will be doing something that is Game of Thrones and Wheel of Time related, and I hope you enjoy it. Have a good one, y'all. Peace!